asked me to introduce him tonight, and it is with great pleasure that I do so, because John, as much as I like to give him hell, as many times he's tried to get me arrested in airports, suggesting that I might be a terrorist when we fly together, giving the FBI my name, my files. John is a dear friend. And more importantly than being a dear friend, John's a mediocre husband, according to his wife. He's an average dad, according to his 2 kids. But as a lawyer, there's really one major fact that I share with audiences whenever I get the opportunity to introduce him. And it's this. He's done lots of things in his career that are good, some that are unspeakable. But more importantly, roughly 25 death penalty cases, capital murder cases in the state of Alabama. And nobody has been killed. And nobody is going to be killed because of John.
This is Hope. Hope Kitchens. She's about 2.5 years old now. She's got brown eyes. Some people say she has her mother's hair. Hope Kitchens is alive today because Bonnie Kitchens did something that was never done for her or something she could never do for herself. She protected her daughter. Bonnie Kitchens killed Albie Rogers. She shot him not because of the years of beatings he inflicted on her. She killed him so that her unborn child would not be killed by him before that baby ever drew its first breath of life. Bonnie, as a child, didn't have anyone to protect her. Her childhood was seeing her mother move from one man to another man, each one who told her mother and the children they loved her, and showed it by slapping their mother across the face, by kicking her, and by punching her, all in front of Bonnie and her sister. Until her mother, when Bonnie was about 5 or 6 years old, sent her to live with another family, her aunt and uncle, her Uncle Todd. Uncle Todd told Bonnie he loved her, and he showed it by fondling her, by sodomizing her, and by raping. It wasn't until Bonnie was in school and one day happened to tell a teacher that her uncle was touching that someone from the Department of Social Services came and removed Bonnie and her sister from that home. But one thing her uncle told her, along with how much he loved her, was that if she ever really told, she'd get what she deserved. And she deserved everything she got. Bonnie left after being returned back to her mother and found she had a new stepfather, a man named Roger Richards. Roger Richards was much like the men she had seen before. He beat her mother, he slapped her, he punched her, but something new that Bonnie had not seen now would happen to her. The punching, the slappings, the beatings. Because Mr. Richards didn't keep his affection just to her mother. He showed it to all those children. She was 11 years old. Bonnie's mother began to drink, even more so than she had before. Not only did she drink, her way of escape was to leave Bonnie and her sister Bonnie with Mr. Richards for days on end. She knew what was happening to her daughter. She didn't report it. She didn't try to stop it. And she didn't send them away again. It wasn't until Bonnie was 17 years old that Bonnie left that home. At 17, she moved in with a man who was 40 years old. He told her he loved her. He introduced her to alcohol and drugs. And that was her life for the next 3 years until Bonnie became pregnant and lost the child. When that happened, Bonnie left. And she was on her own as a 20-year-old until she found the man she had hoped for, the man she had dreamed about, and the man she thought would never come. This was the man she thought would give her the love, the family, and the home she wanted. That man was Albie Rogers. What Bonnie got was his version of love. What Bonnie got was his version of home. And home for her would be right back to where she was as a child. Because after a year of marriage, Bonnie told Albie that she was pregnant with his child. The moment every father waits for, to be told. And when she came to him and said, Albie, I'm pregnant. I think it's a boy. Albie smiled and slapped her across the face. He punched her in the chest. He punched her in the stomach and told her, I don't want no kids. What's wrong with you? And that was Bonnie's pregnancy. Miraculously, she did give birth to a son, a healthy boy. And after a year, while she was working every night, having to leave her son with his father, she sent her son to another home, to her sister's, where he could be raised and nurtured and loved. Because she knew she could not protect him. It was summer, about 3.5 years ago, late June, early July. It was hot as it is now. It was hotter in the apartment that Albie and Bonnie lived in. It was 1-bedroom efficiency. Albie didn't work. He spent his days on his chair, watching TV and doing what his favorite pastime was, drinking beer. If he wasn't at a bar while Bonnie was working, he was probably speaking, and I think you'll hear that he spent a lot of his time with their newest resident in that apartment, his sister, Regina. Regina and Albie shared the same interests, watching TV, going to bars, and drinking beer. But at 11 o'clock each night, while most people were either asleep or getting ready to sleep, Bonnie Kitchens got up, put on a uniform, and walked a mile alone in the darkness to go to work. The work she had been working at for over 2 years. Here, in that chicken plant. for 8 hours a day, from 12 midnight to 8 a.m., when most of us are sound asleep in our beds. She stood at the line. She stood there in the guts and in the blood and in the filth to make the money to pay the rent, to keep them in that apartment, to make the money to pay for Albie's cases of beer, and to make the money to keep the lights on so his beers in that refrigerator would stay cold. July 7th was a hot day, and the walk was longer for Bonnie from the plant back to home. Not because it was any further distance, or not because she wasn't used to coming home covered in the filth, but because she knew two things. One, she knew she was shown, because she was carrying her second child. And the second, she knew she had to tell Albie. When she got home, Albie was in his chair. He'd already cracked the first beer of the day at 8 a.m. And she told him, as she'd done before, Albie, you're going to be a father. I'm pregnant. And Albie's response was the same as it was before. He slapped her. He grabbed her around the neck and choked her. He punched her in the chest, and he punched her in her stomach, and told her, "What have you gone and done now? We can't have no kid." And for all morning, for all afternoon, and into the evening, Albie's voices echoed in that apartment. His screams, his rage, his anger, fueled by beer after beer after beer. Later that evening, as he was sitting in the chair, Regina had come home. And Albie had now what he did not have before. He had an audience. And it was an audience who was very willing, because Regina had seen Albie beat Bonnie before. As she told the police, he just slapped her around a bit when she got out of line, or when she deserved it. And now she was there. And it was time for Albie to show his sister that she deserved it. Tell her what you gone and done. Tell her now. But get me a beer first. Bonnie went into the kitchen, walked up to the small refrigerator they had. It was full of beer. That was basically mostly the food and substance that Regina and Albie had. As she reached inside and got the beer and turned, she winced. There was pain, because she could feel the bruises on her neck. She could feel them swelling up. She could feel it on her chest, and she could feel it on her stomach from where he had punched her. Where he punched their baby. As she turned around, she saw Regina's purse on the kitchen table. Inside of it, she saw a gun that she knew Regina had, a loaded gun. She reached down and she took it, and she put it in her pocket. She took the beer, she walked back and gave it to Albie. She walked back and sat down in that chair and waited and hoped told you to tell her what you did. Bonnie said nothing. And when she said nothing, he came out of the chair. And she knew what was coming with him. Because he brought that black widow spider tattooed on the one arm. He brought the knuckles still raw from the beating that he had given her all day. And he brought with her the thing she feared the most. Not for herself, but for the child inside of her. Before death took that baby, Bonnie Kitchens stopped it. Hope Kitchens looked to her mother to protect her before her eyes could even see. She looks to her mother to protect her now. But now, right now, the time has come that we protect Bonnie Kitchens. We give her her hope back.